All right, there we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. We got it.
Hallelujah.
Okay. Someone should turn to 2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 8. 2 Samuel 1 verse 8. While another person should turn to 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 43. 2 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 43. The other one was 2 Samuel 1 verse number 8. So if you see those places, please read.
Repeat that again, Bishop.
2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
Then 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 43. Please, anyone who see it, please read to the people.
Okay. I have a Samuel chapter 1 verse 8.
Okay.
And he said to me, "Who are you?" So I answered him, "I am an Amalekite."
Okay. Keep reading, keep reading, keep reading. Go to verse 9. Just keep reading.
Okay.
This is David. Go upward a little bit. Let's start from verse 1. Start from verse 1 so that you guys get the story.
Okay, the report of Saul's death.
Okay.
Verse 1.
Now
Now it came to pass.
Tell us where you are reading. Tell us where you are reading.
Okay. We're reading from 2 Samuel chapter 1.
From?
Now it came to verse 1.
From verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 1. From verse 1. I want you to see how the Amalekites are even involved in the final death of Saul. It was the Philistines who killed Saul and his sons. But it took an Amalekite to finish Saul off. I want you to see ancient feud is what we are talking about tonight. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass after the death of Saul that David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites. And David...
Okay, no. Wait. Read slowly. Okay. Breathe in and breathe out. Take it easy. Let's enjoy you. Go ahead, girl.
Okay. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul that David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites.
Are you guys getting it? The Amalekites keep coming back. The Amalekites keep coming back. We are talking about ancient feud. David went and fought the Amalekites, slaughtered them. He returned back from defeating the Amalekites. Let's hear what happened.
And David had stayed 2 days in Ziklag.
Okay. Ziklag was where the Amalekite burned down. That was David's military headquarters. They burned it down. Now listen to what goes on here.
On the 3rd day, behold, it happened that a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. So it was when he came to David that he fell to the ground and prostrated himself. Verse 3. And David said to him, where have you came from? So he said to him, I have escaped from the camp of Israel. Then David said to him, how did the matter go? Please tell me. And he answered, the people have fled from the battle. Many of the people are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan, his son, are also dead. Verse 5. So David said to the young man who told him, how do you know that Saul and Jonathan, his son, are dead? Then the young man who told him said, as I happened by chance to be on the Mount Gilboa, there was Saul leaning on his spear. And indeed, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. Now, when
this guy is saying, I happen to be at Mount Gilboa, and that is true. That's where Saul died. And I saw the Philistines were chasing after Saul. And Saul was riding on his chariot, fleeing from the Philistines. Keep on.
Verse 7. Now, when he looked behind him, he saw me and called to me. And I answered, here I am. And he said to me, who are you? So I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said to me again, please stand over me and kill me, for anguish has come upon me, but my life still remains in me. Verse 10. So I stood over him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen.
Okay, so it means that Saul was greatly injured in battle. The kind of injury that make him die very slowly. It was an injury in which he will not recover. He will die eventually. There is no medicine that is going to cure him. So he saw me and he said, there is no use for me to suffer. Go ahead and stab me to death and kill me. And I went ahead because I saw the people are coming. You can hear the chariots and the people running after him. And he was well off at Mount Gilboa. So I went ahead and I took his sword or whatever and I killed him, as he requested. Go ahead, my dear. Go ahead. Okay, she's no longer there.
And I took the crown that was on his head and the bracelet that was on his arm.
So even though he went to battle, you can see how this man is a control freak. He went to battle still with his crown, his gold crown on his head, his gold bracelet on his hand. Can you imagine that? That's how, I don't get it. What a control freak he was. So instead of going to battle to fight as a soldier, he went there as a king. Are you serious? Still wearing his crown. How are you going to do battle wearing a crown on your head and a heavy gold bracelet on your hand? No, you guys should let me know. Can you successfully fight a battle with a big heavy crown on your head? Are you not supposed to be wearing a helmet?
That's serious.
That's serious.
He was proud of who he was.
Yeah. He never wanted to give up the throne. because the throne has already been given to somebody else, to the son of Jesse. And Saul knew it. So he didn't even want to leave his crown at home or his golden bracelet. Yeah, peradventure David sneaked in from the window or from the ceiling to come and take it and proclaim himself king. So he wore it and went to war. Jesus Christ. People who will die for power, and now power is killing them. Let's see again. Repeat what that Amalekite said he did. Please.
Verse 10. So I stood over him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them here to my Lord.
So that's how you know this guy was telling the truth. An Amalekite finished off Saul. Can you imagine that? And took his crown and took his golden bracelet and brought it to David. Do you see how things are working? David refused to kill Saul, even when he had an opportunity. And David said, let God deal with you. And so he was wounded by the Philistines and was finished up by an Amalekite young man. Can you believe that? The same Amalekites that he was supposed to have wiped out, one of them finished him off and brought his crown and his gold bracelet to David. How significant is that? What do you think God was saying? This young man could have taken that crown, because the only thing I don't like about the story is how David commanded that he be killed. That this young man be killed because he put his hand on the Lord's anointed. That wasn't fair. I don't like that part of the story. David should not have done that. This is a young man who spared him from the anguish of being mutilated. Of course, at the end, Saul and his sons were mutilated. Their bodies were destroyed. They were put up for the birds to eat them. Instead of David being grateful, because it was a sign that the crown, this young man could have taken that crown and that bracelet and have escaped into the land of the Amalekites and give it to one of their lords or put it in the shrine of their gods or goddesses. But he came and gave it to David. And David said that, well, because he put his hand on the Lord's anointed, which was Saul. How anointed was Saul? He wasn't anointed anymore. That's the only thing I don't like about David. Those are the kind of thing I don't like about him. And he killed an innocent man that brought him good news, good tidings. See, I don't like crocodile tears. David was looking for an opportunity to be a king. And here is an opportunity. They've given you these guys. This is his crown. This is his golden bracelet. And you wanna turn it into religion. That's what I don't like about David. I don't like that. I hated it. Instead of David celebrating, he became religious and began to weep over Saul. Why are you weeping over Saul? And I can understand why David did that. He did that to try to make the people see that he was a righteous person and did not kill Saul. So why should somebody else kill Saul if he himself did not? But the Philistines already has injured him. He's going to die anyway. Finish the story. I like you guys to hear my mind about this kind of things in the Bible. I don't try to play game with the Bible. I just try to let you know how I feel about them and what I think about them and how serious these are to me. I thought that was an unjustified killing. Keep reading, please. This young man has brought the golden crown and the golden bracelet and bowed before David and told him the truth, bringing him. This is the first news he's hearing about the war. And this is a man who wanted to kill you. Please keep reading.
Verse 11. Therefore David took hold of his own clothes and tore them, and so did all the men who were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul.
Really?
Jonathan, his son.
Okay, for Jonathan I understand, but not for Saul. Keep reading, keep reading.
For the people of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword.
Okay.
Verse 13. And then David said to the young man who told him, Where are you from? And he answered, I am the son of an alien, an Amalekite. So David said to him, How was it you were not afraid to put forth your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? Verse 15. And then David called one of the young men and asked, Go near and execute him. And he struck him so that he died.
And you guys
David said to him,
continue.
So David said to him, Your blood is on your own head.
I don't think
For
so.
your own mouth has testified against you, saying, I have killed the Lord's anointed.
Okay, I'm opening this up. Was what David did, was it right? That guy did not kill Jonathan, neither Jonathan's brother. Saul begged for this guy to kill him. How would David have even known about this?
Seriously.
This guy did not come bragging. He came to tell you. It means that even the Amalekites knew that David is the person who is supposed to be the king. They knew it. The Philistines knew it. And these are the people who gave David refuge when Saul was pursuing him. David has to take his family member, his father, his mother, his brothers and sisters, and go to other countries to go and hide them there. And here is a man who is a witch, consulting witches. How is he then the Lord's anointed? See, these are the kind of thing that religious people do that makes me very, very unhappy. You have opportunity to, you are going to see that because of this one deed of David, of slaying this guy, war broke out between the house of Judah and the house of Benjamin. And a lot of people died. And all David should have just done should have been to thank this young man and made this guy to become a member of Israel. And presented the crown and the bracelet to the people of Benjamin and to the people of Israel and said, listen, the crown has come to me. This is the Lord's doing. I didn't ask for it. From the war, they brought it to me because they know I am the chosen one. And David tried to be very religious at that point. That's why we have to think. And he was also doing this for political reason. To make sure that the house of Benjamin and Israel do not see him as being somebody who wished Saul to die. To heck with it. I wanted him dead. And then the war began between the house of Judah, David's people, and the house of Benjamin. And go and see the number of people who died. Do you guys think that, do you guys think that the death of this young man was warranted? Was it warranted? Let's go. Think as a human being.
Yes, please. I believe that
that man won trouble for himself also.
I know. I'm going there. I'm going there. I wanted us to finish this, then we go there. So let's look at it. Let's look at it from the legal point of view. Was it warranted that this guy should be killed for bringing news from the war and bringing David the crown and the bracelet of Saul? Was it right for him to be executed for doing that? For helping Saul to die, was it warranted? No, I want people to speak up. Religious people, speak up.
That's how I think of it.
Okay.
I think of it, I know you may not agree, but this is how I perceive it, that was like an assisted suicide. He was dying and he didn't want to suffer, so he said, kill me. That's like an assisted suicide.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to ask yourself, if you were in that situation, would you kill the person? And in some states, I don't know the laws in every state. I think it's different. In some states, you're guilty. You go to jail for helping somebody die.
Okay.
Well, I agree with David. Because...
Okay. Was Saul really the Lord's anointed?
It's because somebody says,
Okay, this is the reason why David said the guy should be killed. The only legal reason David gave was he put his hand and slayed the Lord's anointed. Well, it was not this guy who really has put this man to death. This man was dying. This man was fleeing for the Philistines who have already killed him. And he still struggled to run away. And there is no way that he's not going to die anyway.
I know, but
so the question is this.
Just because somebody says kill me, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't kill somebody.
I know. We will go there. But we are looking at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
This young man had no right. David had no right to kill this guy. This guy was coming to talk to David, knowing that David, let's face it, he came to tell David, he did not bring this crown and this bracelet of Saul to any other person. He brought it to David. Why? Because the rumor spread that is the next king was David. They all knew it. He came to David as a king. He did not come to David as an ordinary person. That's number one. Number two, rumor already has spread all over Israel and outside Israel that the Spirit of the Lord was no longer on Saul. The day that David was anointed king was the very day the Spirit of the Lord left Saul. So Saul was no longer the Lord's anointed from the day David became king. That is what we see in the Bible. He says the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord entered Saul. So Saul was no longer the Lord's anointed. I want you to get it right. A person's position does not guarantee that they belong to God. When the Spirit of God is no longer functioning in a leader, that leader ceases to be a leader and is just an empty and a fruitful place, a fruitful person. Because when you begin to read, when the war between the Philistines and the Israelites happened, the Bible says that visions, dreams, and God withdrew. The day the Holy Ghost left Saul, God left him. He was no longer the Lord's anointed. And that is why he says the voice of the Lord was very rare. And Saul went to look for a witch to know the future. And the witch ended up calling up Samuel. And Samuel told Saul, you are going to die tomorrow. You disobeyed me. You didn't want to listen to me. You don't have the anointing anymore. God is not on your side. So how is Saul then the Lord's anointed? If Samuel from the land of the dead told him that. If the Bible tells us the Spirit of the Lord departed from him. That's when Saul failed. He couldn't even stand before Goliath. This is a guy who have tried for years, over 20-something years, to kill David. And now David is becoming religious and crying for a man that has slaughtered prophets because they gave David food. Come on, face it. That's why we are doing supernatural warfare, so that you can face reality. This guy killed almost all the prophets of God. After Samuel died, only one of them ran and fled to David. Why? Because they gave David bread and water and gave him the sword of Goliath, which rightly belonged to him. We are talking about the lost anointing. Let me tell you, a lot of people try to occupy position in order to force God into that position, whereas God has nothing to do with that position whatsoever. We think that because somebody won an election, it is God. Let me tell you, God has nothing to do with human election. I saw somebody quoting the Bible that every authority on earth is established by God. That's wrong. Wicked authority has nothing whatsoever to do with the Almighty God. Why did he not win the war against the Philistines? Why didn't he win the war against Goliath? He took David to do it. And now David is becoming emotional. The real thing, let me tell you, David was overcome with emotion for Jonathan. And it flows to his father. Everything that is written about Saul and how he fell, all this poetry is pure nonsense. The real person that David was crying for was Jonathan, his friend. Saul's son. That was the person. But because Jonathan wasn't a king, that's why he had to write the poetry for Saul. And of course, he mentioned Jonathan. This is a man who pursued David from place to place and left being a president of a nation and started going through the desert looking for David to kill him. Excuse me. You have to be aware of how history is. This is a guy whom, if Saul had an opportunity, even one opportunity, he would have slain David. And I don't have any mercy for any human being who want to kill me. In the name of that you are an anointed person of God. Whereas God is not with you. That's why when the Jews told Jesus, we don't know about you. We belong to Abraham. Abraham is our father. We've never been a slave to anybody. Ye liars. And Jesus said, really? Do you know who your real father is? Your real father is the devil because he's a killer. And they didn't like that. I want you to look at the different things that scripture has presented. Another reason why David decided that this young man should be killed is that, I want you to listen carefully, the national pride of Israel was at stake. That it will be said that it was a foreigner, an Amalekite, the people who hated Israel, who wanted to wipe out Israel immediately they left Egypt. That at the end of the day, these are the very same people who killed Saul. It's a national embarrassment. So what you see, all the poetry, all the killing of this young man, all the mourning and fasting for Saul and his sons was a pure politics. David now has grown and has learned how to play the game to become a king, because he has been fighting to be a king, and the king that was on the throne never wanted him there. The king wanted Jonathan to be the next person. And he saw Jonathan as a weakling. And he called his son the son of a prostitute. Go and study the Bible and see reality for yourself. So for it to be said that an Amalekite killed Saul, David wanted to stop it right there. Because if this young man is kept alive, this young man will go and tell his people, the Amalekites, that he was the one that finished off Saul. And that will be a national shame. That is the real reason why he killed him. It was not because he put his hand on the Lord's anointed. It was because it was a national embarrassment. And he has to put a stop to it so that this young man does not carry that news any further. That's what they did. Do you guys see what I'm saying? It was a national shame that Saul, who used to be a great leader, was severely almost killed by the Philistines, and they were pursuing him, and he now has to beg an Amalekite to finish him off. It's a national shame. If you guys are defeated in a warfare, it's a national embarrassment. It never should have gotten into history, because nations do not write the history of their defeats. Nations do not write the history of their trouble. They write the history of their victories only. And David knew it. If this young man is allowed to live, he's going to tell his children. He's going to tell his children. He's going to tell his people. And they will make songs. And they will write poetries. And they will use it to talk against Israel. And David said, we're going to stop it right here. That's why he killed the young man. Not because Saul was an anointed person. How anointed was Saul that he wanted to take David's life? Many, many, many times. He didn't have that opportunity. Are you guys seeing how Bible records are written? There are things in the Bible that are coded word. And that's what you see. Coded events. That's what you're seeing. It's a cover-up. It's like the idiot we have in the White House who call himself Trump. After passing a law to put children, separate children from their mothers, send some of them as far away to New York. Who knows how they'll be recovered and reunited with their parents? Turn around and say, it's all the fault of Democrats. The stupid man doesn't know how bad and evil he is. He should be ashamed of himself and of his family, putting his poor God-forsaken wife out there to go and make some photo shots, going to see the children. Are you serious? If you cannot talk to your husband, what kind of husband are you marrying? Whatever is her name. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. If you cannot tell your husband, don't do this, because it will tarnish the image of our family. Not even the image of a political party called Republican Party. If she cannot talk to her husband and put him to order, what kind of a wife is she? Is she a wife or is she a slave? Let's begin to talk about issues. Is the woman from Slovenia who is married to Donald Trump, is she a wife or is she a concubine? What is she? If you cannot tell your husband not to do certain things because it's not fair, it's not just, you are afraid of him, why are you married to the idiot? Donald Trump is a total bastard and an embarrassment and a very evil person. He's a very bad man. And let me tell you, Donald Trump is a Lucifer. He's a Satan. He's a failed person who sees the presidency to try to make up for his failure. And we can see it in him. You are lying about Democrat. What does Democrat got to do with the executive action you signed to put those people in cages? What has Democrat or any other American got to do with it? What has Republican Party got to do with it? Republican Party got nothing to do with it. They are innocent people. So leave the Republican Party alone. Leave the Democrats alone. It's about Trump, because Trump is not a Republican. I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, Trump is not a Republican. And Republicans are so foolish to allow somebody who is not a Republican to be their leader. And God will punish them for it. Because that's not how we Republicans behave. You're coming to lie to us. You think we are all emotional? We all have lost our senses? You are a total idiot. And God will punish you. The way you will die will be so bad that nobody will cry for you. Because you have really upset heaven and earth. And you are sending your poor wife to go out there and talk and try to put it. Let me tell you, it's only that CNN are stupid too. Fox News are an embarrassment. MSNBC don't even know what the heck they are doing. Because things like that of Trump wife going to Texas should not even be shown on television. Nobody should talk about it because it's an embarrassment. Because you cannot stand up to your husband and talk to him. Why are you going there? Because they sent you. Because you come from a poor country and there is nothing there. And you think that he has money. And he has gone to so many bankruptcy. Lying to everybody he's a billionaire. And the Supreme Court of New York asked him, bring your paperwork, let's see whether you're a billionaire. He has never seen a billion. Some of us have reached a point where things will begin to happen in America because I cannot sit back and wait for somebody to keep insulting us. Especially insult my body. Trying to come and steal from us. I and my children can never be Democrats. We can never be. We are not independent. See, the practice of somebody, let's return back to what we are saying. The practice of somebody asking another person to kill him or her is a very ancient practice. This is not an assisted suicide. That's what they did in warfare. It has been an ancient practice a long time ago. The Romans practice it. The Greek practice it. The Egyptian practice it. The Persian practice it. You don't want to be captured. Because if the people capture you, they will make it painful. They will chop your hand first and wait as you bleed. Then they will chop up the other hand. Then they will chop off. They will chop until they will chop your penises off. They torture you. And what ancient kings and generals in the army do when they see that this is what about to come, and they themselves are lifeless, they cannot kill. They always ask their aid to finish them off and remain quiet. So, Mary, here we go with what you are saying. The man himself who came to report this death to David was an idiot. Because in war, you don't talk about what you did in war. Soldiers are not allowed to recount who they killed, how they killed them. Soldiers are not allowed to say it. There are certain warfare that I do. Till the day I leave the earth, I can never talk about it. You guys see my anger because something is wrong in America. And when once my anger starts to boil, changes are coming. One way or the other, changes will come. Somebody gonna leave government. Somebody gonna be killed. Somebody gonna flee. Something gonna happen. Somebody's going to jail. And that is just it. So the young man was not a good person. Not that he was not good naturally, but he talked too much. If you are a prayer warrior, you don't talk too much. There are certain things you do, some heavy things you do. You don't talk about it. Go to the kingdom of darkness and see. Lots of heavy things they do, they don't talk. They don't even reveal their identity. There are certain places I go, I don't reveal my identity no matter what. Because of what I come to do there. So that is his own fault.
Yeah, Bishop, one more thing to add.
Yeah, he didn't do right. Warfare thing, you don't talk about it. You just say, well, I found this crown laying around. If you wanted to bring the crown, After the war, my family were going through, we saw this crown, we just thought, well, the best thing is, this looked like the crown that must have belonged to a king. We don't know whether it's, well, it looks like the crown of, it has an Israel emblem to it. So we brought it to you. Thank you, bye. That's it. And you do that long after the war is over. And in fact, if it is me, I will not return that crown. I will keep it. That bracelet and that crown belongs to me. That chariot is mine. And the young boy wanted to be famous. And there you go. It's not everything you see you talk about. It's not everything you know you release. It's not everything you do that you should share. And he tried to go and talk about what he did. Look at it. It got him into the grave. There was a day God was telling me to go and prophesy against certain people. And I told God I cannot prophesy against them. And God said, wait, my spirit is going to go to somebody else and they will give that prophecy that I've told you. I thought that was a joke. 1 hour later, somebody sent me an email. And it was another prophet from a different country prophesying the same thing. And God said, you see it? When I tell you, when you carry my anger, speak what I ask you to speak. If not, I will use somebody else. The most ridiculous thing is when men make their wife to be involved in what their wife do not have a clue. You expose your wife to ridicule because we can all see it. And this young man brought the crown and the bracelet of Saul, and he did not know that he was coming to ridicule a whole nation. If the king died, let him die quietly. We don't care about how he died. I don't like him. I don't want him. I don't want to have anything to do with him. The minute that Donald Trump changes, repent, and begin to put human being first, you will never hear me attack him. You will never hear God said one word to people, because you see, people are not being told the truth. There were a lot of things that Obama did wrong and a lot of things that he did right. But one thing I knew about Obama, he was not hungry for power. He wasn't. One thing I knew about the Bushes, the first Bush, the second Bush, or Reagan, and the rest, they were not hungry for power. They wanted power to do good. And you saw how Reagan suffered, how he was shot. And poor Nancy was on his side. In fact, when I read that biography, I realized that if Reagan wanted to do anything that was bad, Nancy always set him down. Nancy, if you cannot be a big influence and the voice that your husband listens to, then both of you have no right to be in a marriage. Because that will be a mockery and a madness. Do you know that it was Nancy that was managing the Alzheimer or dementia of Ronald Reagan? She read to him. She was managing things for him. That woman. That's why I have a lot of respect for Nancy Reagan. She covered him. Anything that man wanted to do, any policy, Nancy will say, this will work. Listen to me. Don't present that. And he will never. Okay, husband, I'm going for a dance. I want someone to take me to the movie. You are so busy. And Reagan will ask him. Ronald will ask him, who are you taking with you? He says, our old friend. Frank Sinatra. He said, okay, call him. Let him come. And when he finished his work from the White House, he's sitting, he's waiting. He's at the window waiting for Nancy to come home. And every time Nancy steps through the door, it's like they've just seen each other for the first time. What a love life. Reagan is not to me a god of republicanism. No. But he knew the right thing to do. And he had a wife that he listened to. And not make a mockery of us being men. It's not about winning an election. It's not about winning an election. It's about doing the right thing. I don't care who wins election in your nation. What I care about is let them do the right thing. And not reduce a nation to mockery. Because that's what Saul did. By disobeying God, he reduced Israel to mockery. And that's why David commanded that young man to be slain. I don't blame David. Because at this time, the dignity of Israel was at stake. If you go about telling people the history of your family, you can tell me because they died with me. But when you go about telling people about all your problem in the world, that's a big thing. Don't do it. You go to your job, you're talking about you. You're talking about your problem. You're talking about what your father did, what your mother did, who did. It's not fair. We want to stop this particular thing. I just wanted you to see how the cycle of the Amalekite never stopped. Ancient feud never stopped with the Amalekite. Let's see. What again did I ask people to read?
Second Corinthians chapter 4, verse 43.
Okay.
No.
Second Chronicles.
Oh, Chronicles. Chronicles. It says First Chronicles 4:40.
Wait. Let me make sure I got it. Yes. First Chronicles 4:43. You are right.
First Chronicles.
Somebody should read it quickly. Because even at the time of King Hezekiah, the Amalekite was still there as a nation, strong and ready to fight. Somebody else.
And they smote the rest of the Amalekites, and they escaped and dwelt there unto this day.
And they smote the Amalekites, and they escaped. Remember what Rosalind said during the 12 noon prayer? He said it means 400 Amalekite on the loose. Oh boy. They are always escaping. They are not always able to finish these Amalekites. They are always escaping. And it's not like they all live in one place. It's a nation. And they are all scattered in different places, according to families, according to cultures, according to how they have mixed with other nations. And this particular Amalekite that brought the crown and the bracelet of Saul was actually an alien living among the Jewish people. Think about that. I want to show you something. You guys remember the name Agag? You remember the name Agag? Okay, you are all going to see him resurface somewhere. Let's go to the book of Esther. I told you guys that we are going to compare Saul and Esther. Saul was asked to fight and wipe them, and they were not really wiped out. See what happens. There was no massive... So the Amalekites lived on long after Saul and David. They persisted as a nation. Mary, give us the chapter. You are the Bible teacher.
Chapter 3.
Beginning at verse 8.
Yeah.
Okay, Esther chapter 3. Where is my lady? Zelina, are you there? Or Geneva, are you there? Where is Geneva?
Here.
Okay, can you go to Esther chapter 3, beginning from verse 8? I know you're tired, but please bear with me. You are family.
Esther chapter 3, verse 8.
Let's begin there. I now want you guys to see how an unfinished business will resurface after so many hundreds of years. I'm going to pause this video here. Now I'm going to ask you to get yourself something to drink. Geneva, go and get yourself something cold to drink. Mary, Roslyn, all of you who are on the line, Nancy, go and get yourself something to drink. And let's go from here. We are going to begin the book of Esther so that you see that every opportunity that presents itself to you for a business to be finished must be finished.